Hello and welcome to my garage. I currently have all 308 cars available as of update 8.3. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do this again, but I did. And so this is going by fast, but it won't slow down. There's so many cars to go through. You might have noticed a few with some cool flames on them. I've got a series of videos I'll post a link to. You can only do those during Halloween vinyls. And did you see the police car? That is my more modern day version of Roscoe. And coming up soon, we should have my modern day version of the Duke's car. Those guys did a jump off in one of my videos. This is just going in the order that I acquired the cars in. So I went to my garage, I picked the Ford Focus, and I'm moving to the right from there. And some pretty interesting cars. That guy had a bad accident to some paint. So, you know, that's what happens. That's one of the first really fast cars that you drive. Here I start getting a little more creative, like the Lamborghini Gallardo. He recently did a video with Magnus, where Magnus actually comes to life. That was kind of funny. I'll put a link up to that one if you're interested. I go really into detail about clock management technique in endurance races. And there's some more cool flames. The Audi, that's a fun car. The R8 LMS Ultra. I've earned some good currency in that one at a Porsche short test track. That last Beamer had vertical flames. I haven't really seen that before, so I thought it would be cool to throw it on there. Not something you expect to see on a Beamer, and that makes it a little more funny. Perhaps you've driven some of these cars, and perhaps you're still working towards earning them. Here we've got an interesting flame vinyl I did with very little real estate to work with. Then the Bentleys. There's the all-black matte and the all-white glossy. I believe that Renault is the very first all-electric car we had in the game. I remember it quite well. There was an event, a particular stage where we had a very long race at Nürburgring. I clipped the very last corner on the very last lap and lost the race, had to do it all over again. Here we're getting into some of the more racing cars. And that car, the F14T, that car is night and day different than the 2019 F1 cars that were just introduced in update 8.0. They handle very differently, much more challenging to handle the old ones. Then you got that beast. I waited a long time to fully upgrade that Toyota. Meanwhile, I drove that Porsche up piles in the 10-lap Le Mans race. Then there was this car that I farmed a lot, the Audi. And the newer 10-lap version. Later, that Nissan became one of my favorite, the LMP1 2015 Nissan. Okay, flames like that in a Bugatti, I know what you're going to say, but that's what makes it even more funny. I would never do that if I actually got a Bugatti, but I seriously doubt that's going to happen. Then we have some of the older Porsches. These are, well, they're interesting to drive, we'll say the least, especially if you've been a Bugatti driver recently. The Veneno is an interesting car, really fast, but it kind of handles like a tank for me. It just feels like it's hard to steer for me. Zebra Flames, I like that one. That's a very interesting car if you look at it from different angles. Then we get into more Porsches. As I'm sure you know, there is an awful lot of Porsches in this game. Have a St. Patrick's vinyl on the one. The old Lamborghini. And then we start getting into the NASCAR content. You can see when NASCAR was first introduced. And I started acquiring those. That flame job you can only do on that car because you need special vinyls to do that one. And they're only available for that car. Here I've started to experiment with my ME7 logo, using standard vinyls on an angle to get a bit of a stretch out of it, and then I overlap them a little bit. The Vulcan just went by. I remember that car because it was a gauntlet event, which we haven't seen for a long time. A lot of people didn't like them because they were pretty hard. I liked them, but man, those got really hard. And here we are back into more NASCAR content. This was the second year that it ran, and we got to see some new drivers that weren't in the first year. And there were also some repeat drivers. And more NASCAR. That was one of the last R-Dollar cars, the number 43. You could fully upgrade that one with only R-Dollars. Then the Venom, which is a beast of a car. Think of it as a gun. Point it in the right direction, then pull the trigger. Hard to control. Up next, the FXXK. I've earned a ridiculous amount of fame in that car. I once drove it for 600 laps at Porsche Short Track on 8 times Fame Day, earning just over 2.57 million fame in one race. Really crazy. And we've got the Jaguar all-wheel drive. That car's actually fun to drift around. Then we've got the supercars. This is the first time they appeared. Then we have the monster of a car, the McLaren MP4X coming up, followed by a monster, a shark car. And I actually recently did a video where I show you how I made that. I'll put a link up there so you can see that one as well. Then we've got the Formula E cars. That was the first year that those ones were introduced. Interesting flames on that one that kind of fade out. I try to get creative with some of those. I wish I could do those any time of the year, but hey, I just wait for Halloween to come and get it out of my system. 1-to-1, that was the last car I think I earned with just our dollars for upgrades. As you can see, I try to get creative with some of my vinyl designs. The 962C is interesting, then my Stinger, that's what I like to call them. And who puts flames on a Sesto Elemento? Well, I do. I kind of like doing those kinds of things, as you already know. And let's see, here's my other interesting Mazda. I like putting eyes on that one. And another shark car. I really like doing shark vinyls, but you need the right type of car to make it work across the front. There's another interesting flame design. And yet another flamed Lamborghini. I just can't get away from it. I've always loved flames on cars. Then we have a throwback to the MP44. That one's also pretty tricky to handle compared to the new ones. They really tweaked the handling nicely for the new F1 cars. They're a lot more enjoyable to drive, I find. Into some more NASCAR content back there, the 2017 NASCARs. There's been hints that we'll see more NASCAR in 2020 yet, so I look forward to see what EA's got cooking for us. Then we've got a few of these vintage race cars. Some of them are pretty interesting. I kind of like the throwback vinyls that they gave us on some of those. Some pretty iconic ones. And back to Formula E up to Season 5. Another older one, a C11. Ah yes, the old Mercedes. And another shark car. I think that's my last one. I'm sure someone will ask how I got supercars and NASCARs. That's because I was playing the game when they first came out. If you earned them in the past, you still get to drive them, but if you never earned them, you now can't. And we'll see what new NASCAR content comes up in the future. More ME7 logos. Porsche 718K. I was kind of going for an Air Force themed vinyl there. Looks a little bit scary, honestly. And that one, I like that ME7 design on that one. As you can see, I started kind of throwing it everywhere for a while. I was just experimenting with it, doing different stretches. I did this Nissan with just basic vinyls. The crazy one before it was actually Christmas trees. Different colored Christmas trees to kind of look like some sort of a weird fire on the side. Wasn't my best design, but it certainly is unique. If you throw chrome black metallic paint under your vinyl designs, it's the shiniest they can be. Now we're starting to get into some more recent content, series that were added not too long ago. Getting up to the Bugatti Chirons, there we go. A couple of W16 monsters and then the old Bugatti. Those were all interesting to drive. Lancia LC2 was a fun car. You can go forever at Spa on that car, even with just LTS upgrades, although it's pretty hard at that point. Fun race though. I'll throw up a video for that one if you want to see what that is like. You can also run that one at Silverstone pretty easily with just those upgrades. You might have been noticing that a lot of the cars going by now don't have upgrades any higher than what it took to earn them. I made a decision about a year ago that I was only going to upgrade if I had to earn a car or if there was an upgrade sale. My gold reserves were getting really low and I was worried I wasn't going to have enough to even earn cars coming up. And we'll see, if there's some good sales, I'll buy them. Now we're into the F1 content. So this is update 8.0. This is where we were looking at M dollars, and I've just got my last one of these cars. I was quite happy to take advantage of the sales going on. I've grown to really like some of these cars with their amazing acceleration and grip. They're just some fun cars to be driving. And so then you have the Agera RS. Boy, that was a monster of a car. I enjoyed that one. Really hard event, but it was really worth it, I found in the end. Safety car with the flashing lights. That's cool. I like that one. And the Alfa Romeos. And then there you go. There's the Sennas and my last F1 that I just bought yesterday. So there you go. That's my entire garage. There you see my garage value. I'll throw up a few more videos here you can check out. I hope you've enjoyed this tour as I open up my garage for the very first time for everyone to see. Thank you for joining me. This is ME7 signing off.